So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use float using HTML and CSS. For example, right now you see I have the body tag here and I don't have anything inside of my body tag. So it's a good way to start with a div. So I'm going to add a basic div here and I'm going to give it a class name. So you can name it anything you want, but I'm going to name it container because it's going to contain all of my other divs. Before I start talking about float, float can be either left or right. So it's either left or right. For example, you see I have this div here. And now let's style this div a little bit so you can see it on the browser. So inside of the head, I'm going to use the style tag and I'm going to select that div. So I'm going to type in dot container to select that. And I'm going to change the background color. So background, and I'm going to say orange, for example. But you see, we cannot see the container yet because it doesn't have a width, or the width and the height. So we can say width 800 pixels. So 800 pixels and height. So height colon 200 pixels. So you see, this is the div that we have. And let me change it. So let me change the color. So I think I'm gonna make it like this, orange. Okay, so this is the div that we have, and it is 800 pixels. So now inside of the container, we are going to add another div. So now I'm going to add another div. So this is called nesting. When you have a div inside of another div, it's called nesting. So we have that div there, and I'm going to give it a class name. So I'm going to call this one left because this div will go to the left. So I'm going to add the text left here, and right below that div, I'm going to add another div. So this is another div with the class name. I'm going to say right. So now I'm going to say, for example, right. Oh, what happened here? Okay, so this is right. So we have two divs inside of that container div. You see this one says left and this one says right. And if you view it on a browser, you see this one is div left and right after it comes div right. So let's add some styling to these divs so you can see it better. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the left div, so dot left. I'm going to change the background color to yellow. And before I add the width and the height, I'm going to select the next div, which is the right, so dot right. And I'm going to basically change the background of it. So we are going to say green. Let me go with green yellow. So green yellow. So background green yellow. Cool. So you see this is div left and it goes from all the way, it covers all the width of my container div. So you see, for example, let's view it on a web browser so we can see it better. So you see now on a web browser, this is the container div, and this is div left, and right after it, we have div right. So what are we going to do is we are going to give them some width and height. So let me start with the left div. So I'm going to say width. I'm going to change it to 400 pixels and height 200 pixels. So I'm going to add the same width and the height to both of them. So now if we view this on the viewport on the browser, you'll notice that this one goes to the left. So this is div left, it stays there, and this is the next div or the div right, but you see it's still aligned to the left. So now here is when you have to use float left and float right. For example, to move this div, so to move div right to the right side, I want it to come over here. So to do that, what I'll have to do first is I'll have to float the left one to the left and float the right one to the right. So let's do that. So let's go to the left. So this is the left. I'm going to say float colon left. And to the right, I'm going to say float colon right. So if we save this and refresh it, you'll notice that this one will come to the right side and the left one will stay there. It will allow the other one to go next to it. So this is basically how you use float left and you float right. You actually align something to the left or something to the right. So you could have done the other thing around. So you see, instead of saying float left to this one, you see this one is left and this one is right. But now I can switch the float. For example, I can say float right to this one and float left to this one. So now if we save this and view it, now you see right is over here and left is over here because we have given float left to the right one. So this is how you can control two containers or two elements using the float. And now let's say that we have another div. So there is something wrong with my code. So what is wrong here? I have deleted this bracket over here. Okay, so now let's switch it back. So this one will be left. This one will be right. So this one will be left, float left, and this one will be float right. Okay, so now let me close it properly. So now if I view it on the web browser, you see now left is there and right is there. So you can, it's up to you which one you float to the left and which one you float to the right. Sometimes you see for the container, you see the container is 800 pixels and the left div is 400 and the right div is 400. So that covers that container. All right, so it takes all of it. However, if you want to make one if you want to give more space to one div, you can basically reduce the width from the one and increase the other ones. For example, you see we have the width for the left. Let's say that the left one, I want it to be 600 pixels. But now you see this one should be 200 pixels. If your calculation is incorrect, it should not work. So you see now this one has more space than this one because this one is 600 pixels and this one is 200 pixels. However, let's say that we have changed this one to 300 pixels. So you see now we have given more width to the div right and div left than the container. So the container is 800 pixels, but you see our elements or the nested elements have more width. For example, this one is 600 and this one is 300, so that's total of 900. If we view it on the browser, you'll notice that it's going to look different and you might see some empty space here. So it's always a good idea to calculate, make your calculations correctly before you add. For example, I'll have to change this one to 200. So 200 and it will work. So now let's say that we have another div. So let me add another div inside of that container. So div, let's see, with the class called, so I'm going to say div dot, let's say let's say that we want to have another div below these two divs. So I can say div bottom. So this is the div bottom. I'm going to add the text bottom. You see the text appears here. Now let's style it. So I'm going to copy the colors from here, and let's select that div. So I'm going to say dot bottom, and I'm going to add the same thing, except let me change the color to blue. So you see now I have added this bottom div, and I have selected it, but you see it's not appearing. So sometimes it disappears, sometimes it appears here. So now let's say that we want to place this below these two. So you see it's now aligned to the right side. So now if you want to make this one be under these two, all right, so let me change the width of it first. So you see, let's say that I don't want the width. I'm not get rid of the width because I want it to be larger than 200 pixels. So I'm going to get rid of it and save it. And now you see it's kind of small. So now we will have to use a property called clear. So we can say clear colon both. And now if we view it, it's still aligned to the right side. So let's see, where did I place it? So it's right here. Okay. So you see it says bottom. So, it's still, I have used float right to it. So we'll have to get rid of that. Okay. So you see, if I don't use clear both, let's say that you have added, yeah, we have selected it correctly. We have given it the background color and some height. However, if we take a look at it, you'll notice that it will not take place. So sometimes this happens when you want to add a div under these two divs. We have used float left for the left div and float right for the right div, but now we will have to use this property, which is called clear both. So we will force this div to appear below these. So let's say clear colon both. And when you do this, you'll notice that your div will appear right under both of these. So I hope this video was helpful, everyone. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. So I'll see you all in the upcoming videos.